Many YouTubers have tested this OM System 50-200 F2.8 Pro for shooting wildlife. It has massive reach, 200mm, and you can extend that reach further by attaching a teleconverter. It has built-in powerful image stabilization, weather sealing. This lens has a lot going on to make it a great wildlife photography lens. Well, I don't want to miss out. I brought this lens to shoot some birds in Kuala Lumpur Bird Park. Let's do this! As usual, before we go further, here are some important disclaimers. I have no connection or affiliation with OM Digital Solutions. This is not my lens. I borrow it from OM System Malaysia and I have to return the lens to them after making this content. I've tested this lens shooting sports photography. I'll put a link to the video up here. Please check it out if you have not done so. In that tennis shoot, there were a few things I couldn't really do. It wasn't the best place to test the sharpness of this lens. I did not use teleconverters on the lens. So whatever that's missing from that session, I will include them in this video. So I brought this lens, OM System 50-200 F2.8 Pro, on my OM System OM1 to the Kuala Lumpur Bird Park, and I was shooting some birds. Before we go further, let's take a look at some sample photographs first. Let's talk about what everyone is most interested about this lens, the image quality. OM Digital Solutions claims the use of 21 elements in 13 groups optical construction. They also claim the use of some special elements, namely 1 extra low dispersion aspherical lens, 2 super extra low dispersion lenses, 1 extra low dispersion lens, 2 high refractive lenses, and 3 extra high refractive lenses. That's plenty of amazing ingredients used in the recipe of making this lens, and the results shows. Looking at the images camera from this lens, it manages to resolve plenty of fine details, really good contrast. The level of sharpness is really incredible. I would say this is one of the sharpest lenses out there for Micro Four Thirds system, definitely in the top 3. And the sharpness is already so optimal, even shooting at wide open f2.8. I don't have to stop down any further to achieve more sharpness. It's already so good. The bokeh rendering from this lens is also beautiful. It is buttery smooth. It is not distracting. It is not nervous. The background looks just delicious. It just melts away. And in terms of technical flow control, there's nothing to complain about. Shooting against bright sources of light in high contrast situations, I do not see any flare problems. I do not notice any chromatic aberration. There's no distortion as well, no vignetting. Some of them might be corrected by software in the camera. I don't really care. As long as I don't see any problems, I'm perfectly happy. I would say in terms of technical quality, this OM System 50-200 is one of the best out there for Micro Four Thirds. OM Digital Solutions claims the effectiveness of the image stabilization in this lens is rated at 7 stops with some conditions. The lens stabilization needs to work hand in hand with compatible camera body's image stabilization to activate the 5-axis sync IS. Then you can achieve about 7 stops stabilization. Now, I brought this 50-200 Pro on my OM System OM1 and I test this shooting birds, and I was slowing down my shutter speeds to dangerously slow numbers, and I can get away handheld sharp images confidently at about quarter of a second. If my calculation is correct, that translates to about 6 stops effectiveness of stabilization. Not exactly 7 stops, it doesn't really matter. 6 stops or 7 stops, if you can shoot below 1/10 of a second, or even 1/20th of a second, zooming this lens all the way to the longest telephoto and 200mm, that is super impressive already. You can do a lot with this lens. It doesn't mean that you have to slow down your shutter speeds to 1/10, 1/20th, or a quarter of a second. No, it means that shots at 1/60th of a second, 1/100th of a second, you can be confident that this lens, the stabilization, can help you to nail it, to really stabilize and steady the shot. You don't have to worry about camera or lens shake. The handling of this lens is easier shooting the birds than the tennis tournament. When I was shooting the tennis games, I was hand-holding this lens on this OM1 body at all times, from the start of the game until finish. I was following the action. I do not want to miss any shots, so it was quite a challenge. But shooting the birds in the Kuala Lumpur Bird Park, I have plenty of rest in between. I wasn't holding the lens up at all times. I put the lens down when I was not shooting or moving from one location to another. So because there was plenty of rest in between, it wasn't really a problem handling this lens, although it's quite a large and heavy lens for a Micro Four Thirds standard. At the end of about 3 hours shooting mark, I did not feel any discomfort or any pain or any problems at all handling this lens on the OM1 body. The autofocus performance on the OM1, as expected, was quite good. I was using the bird subject detection activated at all times. I just let the camera to find the birds in the frame, nail the focus. And I gotta say, it's about 80% hit rate. It's not a bad number. I got plenty of keepers. The autofocus is really fast, reliable, no issue whatsoever. If you're a wildlife shooter, you shoot a lot of birds using this lens in combination with OM1, OM1 Mark II, it is quite a joy to use. There is some loud machine noise in the background. I think it's the leaf blower. Some people are doing some works in the park. I apologize for the distracting audio, if any, but the shoot goes on because I don't have a lot of time. I need to return this lens to OM System tomorrow. I must finish this video today. Next, I want to talk about the use of teleconverter on this 50-200 Pro lens. I had the Olympus MC-14, which is the 1.4 times teleconverter, which is compatible with this 50-200 Pro lens. If the 200mm reach is not sufficient, you can extend that with the teleconverter 1.4 times, effectively giving you 280mm focal length. Look at the images from this combination shooting on my OM1. The images come out still very sharp. There's plenty of contrast to go around. Definitely, I'm very happy with the results using this teleconverter. Don't get me wrong, I admit that there is drop of image quality. There is definitely drop of sharpness when you use the teleconverter. That is to be expected because the teleconverter effectively only magnifies the center portion of the glass of the lens, and you will see some compromise. With and without the use of teleconverter, it is very obvious. Without the teleconverter, the sharpness, the contrast, the fine details rendering is on a different level. It is so sharp, there's so much more details rendered. But with the use of teleconverter, you will see the drop of image quality. It is not too severe. Overall, I think it's still perfectly usable. Now, do bear in mind that some of the issues I noticed I did not notice earlier, like chromatic aberration or flare or any other issues, they start to appear with the use of teleconverter. In high contrast shooting situations, you can really see see some purple fringing problems, so it's best to avoid those backlit or high contrast areas if you want to use the teleconverter. Another point that a lot of people may not tell you that I actually know is the effectiveness of image stabilization is compromised with the use of the teleconverter. So I did test this. Instead of being able to handhold down to 1/4 of a second, 1/8 of a second, at the longest telephoto end, I was able to handhold about 1/30th of a second. At 280mm, 1/30th of a second is still very, very impressive. Just bear in mind, if you use a teleconverter, you achieve the reach, you get some really good images out of it, but there are some compromises as well. That's all I have to share about using this OM System 50-200 F2.8 Pro lens to shoot some birds in the Kuala Lumpur Bird Park. I think this lens is a wonderful lens for wildlife photography. What is there not to like? It has a really long zoom range. It goes to 200mm at the longest end. If that's not sufficient, you can always add a teleconverter. And the lens is super sharp. Optically, it's excellent. I think this is one of the sharpest lenses for micro four thirds system. It renders beautiful bokeh. It has powerful image stabilization, and the lens is also fully weather sealed if you're shooting in harsh situations. I think if you're shooting wildlife, this is definitely one of the must-have lenses in your arsenal. I hope you found my sharing beneficial, and I hope you've enjoyed looking at my photographs. If you do, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal, or you can join as a member on this channel. Links in the description below on how you can support me. Any contribution goes a long way, will definitely help me to continue making more content and share them here with you guys. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.